All right, everybody, here we go. Gamma Bear Sen, the cutest name in the world, against Dignitas Select. I can't wait for this match to go down. Starting map is going to be NASL, the Shattered Temple. But we are so lucky to be casting these amazing series. Today is like the matches of the century, man.
Yeah, it's like we've just been bestowed upon from the heavens with absolutely fantastic StarCraft 2 matches to cast. We already saw that awesome PVZ in the last match. So TVZ here going to be Select in the 12 o'clock position as our red Terran. In the 6 o'clock position, of course, Sen going to be our blue Zerg. Now, cross positions, of course, the only spawns available on an NASL Shattered Temple. Now, ZVT cross positions, that will give, I mean, it's not giving an advantage to Zerg, but it gives them the opportunity to be able to go take expansions on this style of a map and actually be able to defend them accordingly. I think the tricky part on this map is once you actually have your third base and you're trying to figure out how you're going to go take your fourth and fifth without, without just being too disjointed and succumbing to mass drops all over the place.
Yeah, I think the big thing that Terran has, though, is the really early 2-base timing, where you can plant your siege tanks all the way over in the gold expansion, then slowly creep up just when you have like 2 or 3 tanks before mutas come out. And the other timing is going to be after you take your gold expansion. You can go ahead, power off of that, and just have an absurd 3-base timing push, both of which are very viable. And I hope Select actually utilizes those 2 factors on this map.
Yeah, I mean, we see Terran players do that all the time. But we also see Select often utilizing, he really likes drops, he really likes medevacs, so we often see him rushing up to that starport tech, so you can just do some drops pretty early on in this game. We do see the refinery going down after that barracks, so it's possible that we're just going to see something like a reactor Hellion expansion here would be pretty common, especially on a map like this where the natural does have a somewhat wide open choke, so you can kind of get around in there and get some good scouting information, deny creep speed pretty easily, and maybe even get some harassment potential. But it's also possible that Select will use that gas after he gets that factory to get a starport. Which do you think would be the better choice on this map, Andre?
I think just going for the factory would be probably just better. Starport tech, I wouldn't say it's all in, but you know, to get your return on the investment is represents a lot of money. You're looking at 250 minerals, 100 gas, and then the opportunity cost that you're losing from not getting the command center in time. So there's a lot to be lost in that entire thing. I really feel like it's just safer to get the Hellions and just go from there.
Oh my god, look at that. The SCV almost got killed. Not quite, though. That was building the supply depot. Looks like Select just wanted to send out that first Marine anyways to try to maybe put on some aggression. That SCV, looks like the forward SCV does die to that drone from Sen, so will not be able to actually go set up a bunker. I mean, he did have one on the way, but did have to, of course, pull that SCV off, so won't be able to actually complete that bunker. It does have another Marine on the way, no additional SCVs, so not actually going to be that aggressive here. Just going to put on a little bit of pressure on these drones for some missed mining time until those Zerglings are out.
Yeah, it's literally just free minerals by doing this for Select. He's using the 2 Marines anyway. He's making the 2 Marines anyway. He's might as well say, okay, I might as well just remove 30, 40, maybe even 50 minerals from my opponent from mining time while that's out, while there's no Zerglings up. And Select, of course, well, that's pretty standard play, but of course Select is going to be doing that. On top of which, an extractor has been made at the 2nd gas for Select. So what that really does is cuts down the amount of tech variations that can be possible. And I really like that factor, of course.
What?
Oh my god, I can't believe he just did that.
Oh my gosh. Lifted up both of his buildings right after he raised that supply depot, but they only delayed the landing for just a moment. There were enough Marines to force those Zerglings away. So not the biggest of deals, and it is going to be Reactor Hellion expansion. The command center already on the way for Select. As you said, that extractor is going down, so that will be killed off. But of course, Select doesn't really want to actually get double gas just yet, so not the biggest of deals. I mean, he does have a couple of options available to him. A lot of Terran players in this situation do like to just add on 2, maybe even 3 more barracks at this stage in the game. After they get that expansion on the way. Other players do like to get that 2nd gas immediately and rush up to that starport tech, get some of those medevacs out, maybe even a Viking to go kill off some overlords and get ready to be able to do drops later on in the mid game.
Well, it looks like this is going to be just a feint of aggression over here. Only 2 Hellions being made. We can see that no more Hellions are actually being constructed. They're actually going straight to a reactor and another starport. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be a additional reactor, excuse me, additional Hellions coming out of this factory. I think it's actually more for this starport, if anything. But I'm not completely sure. We might be seeing just a bio coming in from Select for this beginning stage, not opting to go to that siege tank just yet, which is pretty standard, might I add to. I mean, going this bio, it really focuses on saying, hey, you have to follow this strict guideline of your unit composition. When you go something like siege tanks, really you can be going up against anything. Mutas, fast, all-in, Baneling, Zergling, all-in, Zergling, Roach. There are so many different things that you have to be worrying about, and you don't really have to do that when you're going up, when you're opening bio with Hellions.
True, he does have those Hellions at the front. They were able to get a lot of scouting information. They saw that large number of Zerglings that Sen had, and I really like Select's Hellion micro. He was actually not just attack moving and running backwards. He would actually run his Hellion slightly to the side just to get that lineup set up just a little bit more accurately. So really nice micro from him thus far. The lair, meanwhile, about 3/4 of the way done from Sen that will be completing soon. He has a macro hatch as well on the way. And he's taking out the rocks to be able to go take that gold. So it looks like he might just be rushing up. I was going to say Muta, but no double gas at the natural still. So I'm not exactly sure what he's planning on doing with this lair tech. Maybe just wants it so he can get something like Roach speed, can get Baneling speed, etc. So he can go take that third base and be safe as a result.
Yeah, we've seen actually this style come out from maps like, what is that one map? Zelnaga Caverns, where it's basically the same type of theory. You're going ahead, taking a fast third at your gold expansion, and utilizing a army composition that is mostly reliant on minerals. You can see that the third and fourth gas have just been taken. It's because Roach, Zergling, Baneling doesn't really need a ton of gas, and that way you can concentrate all your drones to getting those minerals, and you're going to be getting a huge army very, very fast.
Absolutely, but here comes a big double drop set up from Select into the main of Sen. He has the Hellions in there as well as almost, it looks like 14 or so Marines, or 13 Marines. So Sen only has Zerglings to deal with this right now. Does have some Roaches on the way, but oh no! Bad positioning for the Marines. They get completely surrounded by the Zerglings, but it looks like it doesn't even matter with that Hellion support. It is just too much. There are so many drones going down from Sen right now, but there are a couple Roaches now out to try to help defend, but so much damage is being done, and look at that Select. Realizes he's just going to have to get out of there, and he does save that medevac with 14 HP. Definitely a good engagement for him. Took out 12 workers total, and now it's going to be just 40 drones to 39 SCVs. Yeah,
very, very successful drop coming in from Select. It's exactly what he needs to do. Get rid of those drones. Make sure they're gone. But the third for Sen is coming up, and as I said before, it's at that gold expansion. And with this gold expansion, you don't need a lot of drones to saturate this. You only need probably around, let's say 12 or 15 would be nice, I think. 15 drones to saturate that completely, and all of a sudden you are on 3.5 base. Normally you need a lot more than 15. You need something around 20, 24 maybe, just to saturate a regular base. So it makes it very, very nice for Sen going this army composition.
Of course, that's very true, and it's a very important point due to the fact that ZVT so often is based around the fact that Zerg is trying to take a third base, and Terran's just trying to push and put on pressure and prevent them from doing that. And generally, Zerg players, especially the ones that rush up to Muta, are often just trying to contain their opponent while they take that third and fourth base. So the fact that he doesn't have to waste as much time droning up before he can make that army to be able to defend is very important. We do see another drop, though, on the way from Select at the bottom right. Might be able to drop into that gold base. Might just be going around to the natural. We actually had an Overseer from Sen. I'm trying to find out where it went. It might have been killed, actually. But it was in the main of Select. Unfortunately, I was hoping to see some awesome Contaminate go down on that, but I don't believe we saw that. Meanwhile, it looks like the drop sees the number of Zerglings and Banelings in place for Sen, and it's just going to go ahead and unload far away and stim and try to run in, do some good micro to be able to do some damage here. He's going to have to target fire those Banelings, though, or he's going to take a lot of damage.
Yeah, and I like what Select is doing. He's just basically saying, hey, these drops aren't really going to be too successful, but in the case that you're not making enough units, I'm going to punish you. He has no real way of, Sen has no real way of dealing with these just yet, but the main fact is Select is just keeping his opponent honest, making sure that he's doing the required things to be stemming the game. Although he does need to be careful because there's a Spire coming out, and once the Spire pops, it's going to be very, very difficult to keep these harassing dropships up.
Oh, Look at that sick timing, though. He actually just sniped 3 overlords right as that spire was coming up. So only 2 mutas were able to get out before they stopped. And he had to make a ton of overlords with the supply block there. Now finally able to start making some more mutas. So actually that was pretty sick there by selecting those overlords right at the exact perfect moment to prevent that muta production from coming out in time. Now he's going to move forward with this huge army of tanks and marines, which is so standard TVZ. But unfortunately, Sen wasn't able to get it set up ahead of time with mutas harassing select space. That's generally what you want to do. Use those mutas to contain your opponent, prevent them from pushing, make them stay back and defend. When you don't have your mutas out in time, that allows the Terran player the opportunity to move forward with this push. And as a Zerg player, you're forced to stay back with your mutas and defend. But it looks like he's going to go for the engagement with all these Zerglings and Banelings and mutas running straight into the army. Oh no, Select's army is actually extremely spread out. It could end up working out well for him with all those tanks, but the Banelings doing so much damage to the Marines. Select looks like he's getting overrun right now, Andre.
Yeah, it looks like Banelings are actually not able to connect completely on these Marines. The Marines fall back all the way to the natural, but meanwhile there are 2 drops going on in the natural select space, of Sen space. It looks like the one in the main did get cleared up, but there is continuation with that drop. It will finally be cleaned up, but the natural one is the one that you really have to worry about. Meanwhile, there is an attack on the planetary fortress, and it looks like, oh my gosh,
no.
Select is able to clean everything up. Sen is being cleaned up very, very easily. Gosh, I mean, just great multitasking coming from Select.
Absolutely, that was absolutely terrible for Sen. Unfortunately, it seemed like he was too preoccupied defending against those drops, so he left his entire army attacking the planetary, didn't really pay attention to it, so he was literally losing his entire army while the planetary was getting repaired, even ended up losing the mutas as the Marines came to reinforce, then lost a ton of overlords. So unfortunately, despite having the army advantage there, kind of just threw it all away, just attacking onto that planetary fortress in a bad engagement while SCVs were repairing it. Maybe just should have just gone back, waited to get some Banelings in there. But he is still on 3 base with 4 hatcheries. He's still got a pretty good army. He has a food disadvantage though, so you never want to be in that situation, ZVT, where you actually have a food disadvantage. Generally, Zerg players are going to be massing up quicker than the Terran player.
Well, the big problem I see right now is going to be coming in that the Spire was taken out, and having that Spire taken out means you cannot be making mutas. Not making mutas, it means you do not have map control, so only having Zergling, Baneling, and Roaches right now, which isn't terrible, don't get me wrong, but against an army composition where you still have pretty good medevac retention, and you have medevacs all over the field, it's going to be very tough. Here's the big engagement coming in right now. Zergling sprinting forward. Banelings are going to be able to connect onto the Marines. Oh my god, the Marines leave right at the perfect second, but it looks like all the siege tanks are going to be cleared up. And with that, the medevacs are going to pick up everything and skedaddle. It looks like there's another drop coming in at the main, but drones are going to be enough to clean this up very, very easily. And with that spine crawler there, that will keep the defense. You know what? Sen is going to be fine and weather the storm yet again.
Wow, but he didn't actually cancel that hatchery. Just lost the hatchery at the 4th base over there with Select's Marines. He had some reinforcements there. Did have to lift up a lot of them against those Banelings, but after he lifted them, dropped them back down immediately with those reinforcements. His macro proving to be so consistent here. There are some Zerglings coming in from Sen and Banelings, but he can, of course, just lift off immediately and fly away. That's the problem, is that Sen, without any anti-air there with that taken out Spire, these medevacs can continue to do anything they want, and while Sen tries to go take that 4th base again, it probably will be denied, but he's going for the attack on the main army of Select. Not going to be the best idea with that many Marines spread out. He's going to have to fall back and build a bigger army, but he's going to go for the engagement anyways. There was one nice Baneling explosion. Great flank as well with those Zerglings. That's actually going to work out amazingly for Sen. Nice micro, nice positioning. He will be able to take out the rest of these tanks.
Yep, and with those tanks being killed, it really stops the push from Select. Select needs to rework his entire group of siege tanks, and I think he has 2 factories pumping out siege tanks, but still, it's so difficult to remake an army like that. Now, finally, Roaches will be cleaned up to this eventual siege tank, or this siege tank will clean everything up. And we do see that 4th base being taken yet again. Now, this is a ticking time bomb for both these players because the gold expansions will run out not momentarily, excuse me. I thought that mules are going to be used over here. And Sen had this mining for quite a long time. Yeah, you can see that is mining out pretty fast. But, there's only a couple more minutes for these gold expansions to be alive. After that, they really need to, they'll suffer a huge economy loss, and they won't have that many drones and SCVs respective. That's the point where, you could be in a lot of trouble. You need to start preparing to get your 4th base, get your 5th base right now. and make sure that you have a long game plan.
Absolutely, that's exactly what Select is doing. He has his fourth base ready, but so smart of Sen, he had his Overlord in position, dropping that creep, and Select hadn't taken out his destructible rocks yet, so the only way he could actually get rid of that was building turrets, had to wait for those to finish, get rid of that Overlord, so not the most ideal for him, but we've actually had so many drops happening, even during the engagements in the center of the map. There was a drop by Select in the natural Sen. Luckily, Sen, though, with those queens, was able to clean it up pretty easily, but, I mean, the fourth base just keeps getting denied over and over and over, and he's going to start getting really far behind this game. Now the fourth base is going to be up and running for Select. Sen, I mean, you really don't want to be on 3-base Zerg versus a 4-base Terran, so he needs to either double expand or do something risky here to get back into this game.
Well, we do see Mutas in the middle of the map, and this is going to actually clamp down on the movement of the Terran player a little bit. We can see that, oh, he's actually going to go for it right in the middle of the map. Zergling's going to run forward. Banelings are not able to connect against everything. He target fires all the Banelings, and the Mutas are the only thing left. Oh my god, what a disaster for Sen. Sen has to back up all the way. I don't know if he has the means to defend against this. Meanwhile, there is a drop going in on the main, but there's not a lot of, well, a lot of stuff here. Looks like he's going to drop directly on top of that Spine Crawler. Now finally moving in onto the creep. Banelings might be able to get there, but no! The Siege Tank is able to blow it up just in time. Now finally Banelings are going to try time number 2, but it's still not going to be able to connect. Sen able to dodge every single one of these Banelings. No good hits on anything.
Yeah, Select has got some excellent Marine micro, but it looks like Sen, with just his crazy macro, actually just has too many units right now for Select to deal with, although he is kind of suiciding a lot of his army right now into the main. Not actually doing that much damage. When you really think about it, he's killing off some of the army of Select, but he's not killing any of his economy or his tech or anything that he needs to be killing right now. You know, Select is still mining off that top left base. He's still mining off the natural. The gold is actually most of the way mined out, and he's not mining off those left mineral patches, interestingly enough. But he's still way ahead in that regard, although Sen's fourth base is now up. But his natural and main are pretty much already mined out, and the gold is getting close to being mined out as well. So Sen could be in some trouble here pretty soon, unless he does take another base.
Most definitely. And you know what? He just lost his Spire yet again. That's the second time he lost his Spire. We don't see another Spire coming up anytime soon. The creep spread is pretty minimal as well, so it really gives way to very strong attacks by Select. He can go ahead, get into position anywhere, and know that his Marine Micro can dodge every single Baneling as long as it's good. We do see that he's moving in here. Zerglings again sprinting forward, taking the first shots. Banelings are able to get in here. Will they connect? I'm not sure. No, they do not. There's just too much stuff here. Sen, GG's, and Select is going to take game number 1. All right, so that is how you do TVZ. Holy crap, that was such an epic game. You know what, Sen, he is so good at macro. I always said to myself, like, how does he have this many units? He has so many Zerglings, so many Banelings. But somehow Select was able to micro out of everything. He was able to multi-drop everywhere, kill 2 Spires, kill 30 million drones, and come out on top.
His multitasking was absolutely phenomenal. Pretty much unbelievable, really, because he was microing a lot of different drops, sniping different buildings, sniping units, etc. And at the same time, I was watching his army. He had his Marines splitting back perfectly against Banelings, just doing such a good job. Pretty much all game long, he was preventing any effective Baneling hits. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember a single time where I was like, oh, there was a huge Baneling explosion. There wasn't. Select just had Marine Micro that was too good. Whenever he got into a sticky situation where he was about to get hit by Banelings, he would just lift him up with his Medivacs, and he did such a good job denying those Spires that he was actually able to do that safely because, you know, the muta count from Sen was never able to get high enough to actually deny that Medivac drop.
And by the time he did get mutas out, the upgrades are already 1-1 against 0-0, and that's not a position you want to be in when you have mutas. I mean, you want to be at worst 1-0 against 0-0, and you're approaching the 1-0. But still, having that 1-1 upgrade for the Marines just empowers them so much, gives them the ability to do just massive damage. They don't have to really get so much static defense. They can rely on their Marines from the production to really keep them safe, so they can really push out pretty freely. Doesn't get that huge security in position as you normally want with mutas. Anyway, we're going to go into game number 2 and see if Sen can tie it up or Sen can take it 2-0. We're going to be back after this break.